This is John Zaninovich. Welcome to Move My Mass. You'll be hearing from great guests talk about balancing life and being fit. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thank you very much for having me.
Looking forward to having you. I've been looking forward to having you. I know you're extremely busy, and I really appreciate you coming on. Looking forward to our chat.
Well, I was excited when I heard your Move My Mass. It had all kinds of connotations for me. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
Mass. And I'm thinking as a Catholic, and this, at first I was thinking it was that. And then when I saw your physical fitness stuff, I thought, this is cool.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram page, and you took the selfie while you're lifting weights. I'm like, all right. I knew you lost a lot of weight. I'm like, I've got to have him on. This would be a great. And speaking of losing weight, you did lose a significant amount of weight over the years. I think it's 110 pounds you've lost. Right. You've kept it off. Let's get into that. How'd you do it?
Drugs. It's really funny. I did it not out of choice. So part of my background feeds into it. Mm-hmm. Catholic priest for 35 years. So 20 years ago, in the middle of it, I don't think I processed things. I mean, I did funerals all the time, death all the time. I lost a sister tragically. Mm-hmm. And I think all this stuff is going. So I never got fat. I was a swimmer in high school. Bakersfield High School, swam
distance, by the way.
Distance, right.
Yes.
1,500 was my main one. And so we were an athletic family. My father was a coach his whole life. We did athletics. But I slowly, as a priest, it was 10 pounds a year. Yeah. And it was moving to a Hispanic community. And all of a sudden, I really like the enchiladas, rice and beans, and it's having it regularly. So you have to realize to build it up, I put on this 10 pounds. And so many times you just get a bigger pant size, bigger shirt. Yeah. And then as a priest, you didn't really think too much about it because people didn't care, if you were big or not. My mom, though, one time said something to me when I got heavy, about 315 pounds. My mom said, how do you get up and preach and tell people about living when you're not taking care of yourself? And man, it hit really, really deep.
That hits dead center, right?
And I became diabetic. I used to keep a towel on the altar, and I would have to pat myself because I would sweat so much.
Yeah.
And a woman, Diane Messmaker, friend of ours.
Yes.
And she was a trainer, and she'd come to church, and she said one day, she goes, I want to help you. I'm like, I've tried things, I've done all that. I even bought gym memberships.
Yeah.
And jokingly, earlier, I told you I'd sit there and I'd even put fake earphones in because whenever I'd start to work out or try to, people would come and talk to me about their problems. So I never had that privacy. And she said, I want to train you. And I never had a personal private trainer, didn't know what it meant. And so she measured me, and that was humiliating. I mean, she measuring my body and all this. And so I'm going, okay. And so we started. I couldn't even do a sit-up. And like I said, I was in great shape in high school. Couldn't even do a sit-up. Couldn't do a push-up. She didn't care. She's like, we're going to start with this. We're going to start with simple things. And then she brought other people in to work out with me. Tonya Valpredo, there's talk about a specimen. At her age in this, she's enthusiastic, and
she can work out hard.
She can. And Mikey Hay and Greg Gunner, just a group of us, and we'd start working out in a group. And Diane always mixed it up, and she made it fun. And then she waited for a long time, and then she started on the food.
Yeah.
And so I started working with a nutritionalist. I was eating so much sugar, so much carbs, and I wasn't sleeping. And sleep, I have found out, is one of those elements. And I was only sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night. And Diane, because she was persistent, she showed up every time. Come on. And I'd make excuses. Nope, I'm here. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
So one day, Jim Burke and a group of his family and they got together and they took the rectory and they took the garage and converted it into a gym.
Nice.
And I mean, beautiful mirrors, carpet, air conditioning, weights, and all this. And so then I had no excuse because I wasn't having to drive anywhere and make an excuse. So we were there. And that started my journey. And as the weight started to go, I got more confidence. I felt better about myself. When you're in a parish, we even did things like weight challenges in the parish. I'd say to the people, hey, you guys got to join me. And they did. And I remember one year we as a parish lost something like 10,000 pounds. You know, we just got everybody, come on, walk around the buildings, do this.
Yeah.
And I got excited. And when you get to that, I still wouldn't say I'm like, I don't remember the last time I weighed myself, probably 5 years ago.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not, I mean, that's a long time not to weigh yourself, but not being.
I'm not conscious of the weight. I know how I feel. I know if I'm feeling bloated. I know if the pants feeling a little tight.
Right.
I don't go buy bigger sizes now. I'm like, okay, Craig, you got to concentrate, eat less or eat better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I owe a lot, of this, not just to the training, but to the education that Diane gave me. And then part of my life too is I had adopted 8 children, and my children are older. They're your age. And
now, at what time period did you adopt the 8?
I was 21 when I got my first 2. So by the time I was 25, I had these kids.
Okay.
And I have 19 grandkids. So when you have, I remember one time when I was still working out and losing weight, but still big, my grandson, he was like 5. They're all there. And I'm on the couch laying down watching a movie, and he climbs in and goes, Papa, I'm going to climb the mountain. But he met my stomach. And that was another thing that I go, it wasn't hurt, but it was like, I want to be healthy for them. I want to be around. I don't want to be that. And, the more I lost, the more energy I got. The more energy I got, the less depression. As a child, I've always suffered from depression, as a child and all. And I know there's a stigma for people out there. And I always say to people, the last 6 years of my life, 7 years, have been amazing, because when you balance the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental, the depression will go. I haven't been on an antidepressant in 6 or 7 years.
That's beautiful.
And I've gone through a lot. I lost both parents, another brother. I've gone through a major job shift, gone through trauma in my life.
Right.
And I didn't result to, I need something. It was, no, you need to sleep, you need to work out, you need to get rid of the sugar, the caffeine, you need to work through this. And that's one of my messages, I guess, even in preaching today. I still, try to get out there and say to people is help find that balance.
And it shows the importance of balance, because you were obviously very spiritually connected, and you were all good there. And you still had problems.
That's the easy part for me. See, it's really funny, because I when I even came in your studio, I see your bikes, and and I said to you, do you even have an ounce of body fat? I look at my life and I go, spiritual was easy. Connecting with God, meditating, yoga, prayer, that is like working out for you. I couldn't do that on my own. Even I remember one time Diane called me and she said, I can't be there to work out, but I left your workout for you in the gym. And then Tonya, my other workout partner, goes, I'm not going to be able to be there. So then I went to Happy Jack's and ate. I didn't work out because I know myself. I need that support and that. So when I come into that balance and I do that, it's like I need a trainer. I need somebody that walks with me through that, because I'm good at spiritual. I don't need a guru for that.
You were good there.
But I need this to find that balance. And when you can balance spiritual and physical, balancing mental and emotional become easy.
And that is spot on. And you mentioned throughout the years, it was more or less about 10, another year goes by, another 10 pounds.
10 years into priesthood, I'm 100 pounds overweight.
When it was coming off, how fast or slow did it come off?
Well, the first few weeks when she'd say, oh, great, you've lost 3 pounds. And I'm going like, this is killing me. And my body hurt from working out, which it hadn't worked out in this. But then I hit that one when I dropped my first like 30 pounds, and I have more energy at church.
Mhm.
People are coming up to me going, "Hey, you lost weight." It started to make you feel good about yourself
Right.
and listen to me and kind of inspire me. And then I plateaued a couple times, and then Diane was just on me like, "It's okay, you do this. It's going to be
Yeah.
a month later. We're not worried about losing weight. Let's build muscle. Let's do this."
Yeah.
And then I'd go, and the next thing I know, I'd drop another 20, 30.
Yeah.
I ran into somebody the other day that hadn't seen me in 25 years. They were from my parish in Fireball.
Oh,
and
wow.
they saw me at a restaurant, and they kept looking, and I didn't recognize them. I wasn't really looking. And they came up and they go, "I have to ask you this. We heard your voice. You're not Father Craig from Fireball." And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Oh my God, we kept saying that's got to be him, but you're half of who you were."
Yeah.
And we laughed. But it's not just how you feel about how you look. I mean, the energy and the clearness of thinking that you get when you move.
Right.
Even now with a counseling business, and I see people, I'm sitting 6-7 hours a day. And so I'll work out in the morning with Diane or whatever. And then it's like, sometimes like after the third one, I'll get up and say, "I got to take the dog and go walk a half a mile. I got to
So
move
important.
so I can be alert and my body feels better." Because if I sit 8 hours, man, I can feel it.
I bet you can.
No energy, no.
Yeah. So, we've been talking about the mental part of all this how I'm assuming that people are bringing negative things to you that they want you to help them with versus bringing something to celebrate. I'm assuming that. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
So how do you deal with that? How do you keep yourself up when you're kind of hearing grief or maybe negative emotions for a good part of the day? How do you keep yourself up?
I'll give you an example today.
Mhm.
Today, I've seen 7 people.
Yeah.
I have a mother that lost a child recently. I have a mother that lost a child tragically, and it's in court. And so 2 of those in a row.
Yeah.
I have a woman whose husband left after 30-some years. I have parents that found that their kids addicted to drugs and out of control. And that. So yeah, every person, nobody comes into me to tell me what's great in their life.
Right.
Nobody
Nobody
does.
And I was assuming that, but I'm glad you can.
But what I've learned and especially now finding a better balance physically, mentally, spiritually, and all, is I can listen and I can hear and I can work and help them to look at where they are and help them through the grieving process and this. And then even when they leave, I even do a whole kind of energy thing where I go, I release their energy back to them with love, mercy, and forgiveness, whatever they need.
Yeah.
Because I have to restore me so that the next person that comes in, I can do.
Right.
And I don't think that would be possible. I don't think I used to do it. And that's one reason why emotionally and mentally I was out of whack, because I would just take on their grief. I would take on their
That's understandable.
pain. I can be in the room and deal with somebody's pain, but when it's done, I have to close it.
Right.
And I say, and I send him with love and all, but I go, I'm not going to keep that on. I'm not going to think about it again.
Yeah, you can't. And stay healthy.
And then when I meditate and pray, I bring them present. I will say, I lift them right now, send the love, energy, prayer to me, to them, wherever they are that day. And so I pray in the morning, I pray in the afternoon, I pray in the evening.
Right.
I try to follow that routine.
And that's what keeps you balanced mentally.
It has right now.
It's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't, at the end of the day, I am tired, but I'm not ended. I've got time to say, boy, that was a lot today, but I'm also one that believes positive thinking is very important. So I go, thank you, Lord, for the gift of these people that you brought today, and that hopefully I in some way inspired or helped them to connect with you, to be better people. And I was telling you about this guy that walks in front. And so I have a friend who's a trainer, and he walks by the front of my house, and I'm out my porch at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 3:30, so 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's dark. And he trains a guy, and he walks him, and I love it because I spoke to the guy, you're looking great, you're doing good, because this guy reminds me of where I was, and I do it, and I can always tell when he comes by, it's like he pauses for a moment, and then I see him walking off with a smile, and he's going, because it's a journey. It's a really health and fitness, mental health, spirituality. Mm-hmm. It is a journey. It is a journey, and every day becomes new.
That is. And you just mentioned that you wake up at 3:30 to have your coffee with Jesus, correct?
Right, I do a little
been
daily.
Been doing it for 2 years. You said you haven't missed a day.
No.
And you mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was on here or before we got on, but you said you used to wake up at 3, go to bed around midnight, wake up at 3 just because your mind was racing. What gets you up at 3 or 3:30 now? What does that?
I think I've always been more of a morning person. Even when I was in college, my fraternity brothers and stuff would make fun of me because like 10 o'clock, I'm crashing,
Yeah.
when there's parties. So I think I was kind of raised that way. But the difference is now is I believe sleep is essential for balance.
Yes.
And one of the first questions I ask anybody that comes to me for spiritual direction is, what do you do physically? Mm-hmm. And then I say, how much do you sleep? And how do you sleep? And I've been able to retrain my body to sleep 7 hours. And so, in fact, tonight I'm meeting some friends for dinner, and they were saying, how about 8 or 8:30? I go, not going to work. I said, 6 o'clock, I'm going to be eating because I'll be asleep. And they had no problem. We'll move the time. And because I'm like, I got to stick to this because this works for me. This is good.
It's good. Yeah, because I wake up between 5:30 and 6. And of course, I'll flip on and look at stories and see 2 hours ago, like, that's just not right.
Did you see how many people, like at 3:30, like, oh, I got this. I'm thinking, they probably haven't even been to bed yet.
Right. Yeah. It's the opposite for them. Yeah. And you mentioned, as we were talking about how you get through the day listening to so much grief or maybe negative issues, that leads to your nonprofit that you're starting. Let's talk about that. What's it called?
So I have a business that I do, which is Transition Ahead. And Transition Ahead to me is everybody in life is transitioning. And whether it's you've lost a spouse or a child, or you lost a job, or you're changing your thing, or you're going through a divorce, you want to transcend and transition ahead forward. And that's my goal, is to help people do that. And out of that came a group of women. A couple of years ago, I used to do teachings for women in the evening, 1 day a month, and they called it WOW, Women of Wisdom. And it was funny, the first time I planned one, we set up 50 chairs in the hall.
How long ago was
this? This was probably 7-8 years ago.
Okay.
And we had about 400 women show up, so we had to move. So we moved in the church. We would average, after that, close to 1,000 women.
Wow.
Every time. So,
wow.
So I go, wow.
Yeah, right.
So for 2 years, I haven't done it. And then with pandemic and everything shut down. So some of the women came and said, hey, we want to revive. We want to do something new. And we'd like to call it Reflections for Women. And so I had some great friends, Natalina and Sister Mary, a group, Heidi, and this Donna Hilton. These women came to me and they go, can we go? And I go, yeah. Okay, we'll do it. But you guys organize. I'll come and give my talk. So we arranged it. It was a couple weeks ago. And they said they got hotels, and their banquet room homes like 550 or 600. And we actually had to turn people away.
Amazing.
And it was exciting, and the energy, but
it must make you feel good deep inside.
Well, what it does is that, because I feel we're all on a journey. I listen to podcasts. In fact, I started following your podcast because I was looking here going like, hey, John's doing this. I want to see what he's doing. And I'm thinking, we need to get positive stuff in our head.
Yes.
So I was listening to it.
Yes.
So when I do these Reflections for Women, we had to move to the Fox Theater, which is our big theater, because we were doing it. So the first day we posted it 2 days ago, for the next one, June 30th, we had over 600 women RSVP. So we're like, oh, good. This is some. But what I really teach are those 4 things. when you said to me at the very beginning, you said, you're busy. And I laughed because busy to me means, in a spiritual way, being under Satan's yoke. I'm not busy. I got a lot of things that I'd like to do, so I have to change my thinking. Because when you're busy, you go, I can't do that. I'm busy. No, I'm maybe not managing something right or something. I either want to do it or don't want to do it or can't do it that day. Like we tried to book this.
Right, yeah.
So I made a book. But I don't want to be about busy. But every time I teach about finding that balance of mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional.
Yeah. Because
I think that's what we're all striving for. So you become for me this icon of, wow, he inspires me with workout because I don't like workout. But I know every human being, whether it's walking, whether you, I saw two nurses the other day at Mercy. We were talking outside the hospital, and then I said, what are you guys doing? They go, we brought our tennis shoes. We try to walk a mile during our lunch hour. Yeah. And they're both, they were a little upset, but they said, we know it's because it's not just about losing weight. We just know we need to get healthier. And I thought, God, this is cool, you guys. I said, I'm going to have to, they wrote them down. I got to find it. And I said, you got to go talk to you.
That's excellent.
Because it's an inspiring thing to me. Right. Two people at work doing it. If we move, if we do this, and that's how I believe spiritually God intended our bodies to do.
And I've said this on a few episodes already. I've never had a workout where I didn't feel better mentally afterward or physically.
I never feel that way before. I want you to know that. I'm dreading. I'm hoping the electricity goes out.
Sometimes I dread my workouts, but I always feel better. The only times I haven't is when I'm getting sick. So my body would just rejected that workout. But it mentally, physically, workouts always help. And I don't have a lot of hard days, thankfully. I'm just lucky that way, I guess. I mean, I do have hard days, but I'm not a kind of guy that I'm a happy guy. So.
And you are, and it comes out that way. And one of the things that I want in my life is the same thing, is I want to be able to help people and do things. But I, first off, have to be a person. I want my grandkids, when they look at me, go, like, Papa's happy. He's a good, he feels good. He likes life. I want him to want to be around me. You can only be around negativity so long.
That's right.
And you say, I can't be around you anymore.
That's right.
So that's a part of that journey for me too, is when you see somebody who has inner peace, when you see somebody who smiles and somebody's happy, you want to be around them. I mean, as a Christian, I think that was Jesus's greatest thing. That was his charism. He was happy with who he was inside. And because of that, he drew and brought people together. And I think we all have that same potential.
Yeah. Oh, I think we all do, for sure. And you were mentioning that with your business, and now you're moving. Well, I don't know if you're going to stop.
So the women,
you'll keep the business.
So the women, so I'll still have my business. I mean, I'm still going to do that. And then the nonprofit, we started a nonprofit, Reflections for Women, which is, we don't even charge or anything when we do these. And sometimes people call us. We just had 4 people call and say, we want to sponsor the event. We'll rent the Fox Theater. We'll pay those bills. And because there's no money in it. And then they pass the basket. So our idea was, because money comes in, is to have this nonprofit that we can find ways within our community to then support different women's programs that are for wholeness. Spiritual, mental, physical, and their well-being. And so in this community, obviously we have a lot. When my sister passed away, we helped fund and rebuild the St. Vincent de Paul Homeless Center. So I do a lot of things towards that. And we want you need money to do most things. If you, we bring, I want to have, like at the St. Vincent de Paul Center, they've had in the past too people that come and teach meditation things. You don't think about that at a homeless center. You think about just hand them food and this. No.
Right.
Let's greet the whole person. So I'm hoping this nonprofit is going to grow to be able to, even with kids, this is another thing with, I think, of school kids in this. These kids, when my 5-year-old grandchild says to me, Papa, I'm stressed. What in the hell do you have to be stressed about when you're 5 years old?
I didn't know that word at 5.
You're supposed to play.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, you might cry, somebody hurt your feelings, and then you forgive them 5 minutes later,
Yeah.
So I think we also need to create mindfulness in education, teaching our kids ways to meditate, become more. We have a lot of physical programs in schools now, but with funding dropping, the first thing they take out are those extracurricular and the sports and that. So I think we really need to fight for that. I'm just hoping that this nonprofit, Reflections for Women, will have an impact in general of either educating children with programs, reaching out to those less fortunate and saying hey, we're not just handing you a sandwich. We care about your soul, your physical, your mental, and all that.
Right.
And so I'm really pretty excited about it. We had our first one, and it was exciting, high energy. Got me excited. We booked the next 6 months. And then some men came to me just a week ago, and they go, can we do one with the men? So we're going to get a date here shortly. And
that sounds amazing.
And I may be coming to you and saying, let's have you come and do a little inspiration here about the physical.
I'd love to.
Because
I'd love to do that.
Anytime we can get people to become healthier, better, happier, connected, we make a difference.
That's the nice thing about all these different groups. If you start connecting them all, and you're going to help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what else is our goal?
Yeah, I know.
And when they're connected and I'm connected, we're just a better world.
We are. Well, you look absolutely amazing. I'm impressed. And it's the hardest thing to keep the weight off the way you have. You look good. You're doing amazing things for the community, for everybody in this community. I want to thank you so much for that, most of all. And second, would really like to thank you for coming on here.
It was exciting for me, John, because if you would have told me 20 years ago, I'd be sitting with somebody who has a program about physical fitness, but I may not be totally muscle bound or tiny or thin, but I'm healthy. And
you got the right image.
And you know what? I'm happy to be a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.